Podketeers.
I am tired. I am tired. I am sleepy. I am tired.
Hey.
I am sleepy. I
Hey.
am tired. And
Hey.
I am
want
so
to
sorry.
go to bed.
I had a cat hair in my mouth. I didn't mean for us to start, and it's like it happened all the time.
What's
The
going on, Mel?
episode.
Hack. Hairball. Hack.
And that's how we start the episode, folks.
Oh, that's great. We it's funny. Last week when I was, I spent way too much time trying to be cute about the FGP episodes because I've always had this idea where like we record the episode all as one giant episode, right? And then it gets cut up and then we upload the standard episode and then the other part goes up onto Patreon for the FGP Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I joke about like, oh, we'll see you on the other side of the music because technically that's what's happening, right? Like the music ends and like the music doesn't happen on YouTube, by the way. So if you only watch the podcast on YouTube, the audio version has like part of our theme song, the ending of our theme song, kind of as a closer, as you know, to close out the audio version of the podcast. Mm-hmm. And so because we didn't have a video version when we started doing the FGP videos for Patreon, I would always say, you know, like, see you on the other side of the music. And so it was easier to edit that as part of just an audio thing. And this last time we closed out the episode and like right as we said bye, like Andrew jumped right in to the dun 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 dun, like right into the FGP part of it. And I was thinking like, should I edit it and like should I cut that? Should I just fade into it? And I thought, well, what if when we're seeing, you know, the tag, like what if we saw, like we heard in the background kind of like the echo of the end of the episode and it kind of faded into like right when it started, like you would see Andrew go into it so that it was literally on the other side of the music.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I spent like 40 minutes trying to get that right. And then at the end, I scrapped it because I hated how it sounded.
Aww.
I was like, no, this is not going to work. I hate it. And then I rendered it out and I saw it. I was like, I'm gonna give it another shot. So then I went back and I spent another hour trying to get it right and trying to like find out where it would fade well and how it would sound and like, should I get rid of the tag audio or should I get like this or should I kind of, because you know, because I'm neurotic, I guess. And ultimately, yeah, exactly. Ultimately, it didn't make it into the episode, but I remember the idea it floated in my head for a really long time because when I used to go to the parks and vlog, one of my primary influences to vlog in the parks was Casey Neistat. And I love Casey Neistat's editing style. The problem was that in trying to emulate Casey's style, there's so many cuts and there's so much prep and there's so many different angles that it got really hard to emulate Casey's style consistently when I had a full-time job and vlogging was technically his full-time job. So I don't think I ever reached like, you know, like the top 15-20% of what he used to do. But one of the techniques he used to use is like he used to fade in the music in his opening like to whatever he was vlogging, right? And so there was a couple of vlogs where instead of hearing the tag audio where it would say like Podketeers or whatever, like we normally would start a vlog or a video or the podcast, whatever, I started like I think 2 vlogs. It started with the audio instead of the actual tag audio. And I was always obsessed with like transitioning the FGP episodes the same way and just kind of like floating into them. All that to say, I'm not giving up. I'm going to try it again.
Hey, well, practice makes perfect. So there you go.
Wasted time? No.
Nope.
Now I know what I don't want to hear.
There you go.
FGP Squad, if you haven't had an opportunity to go check it out, the episode is up on Patreon. We posted the video version of us selecting the rest of our clubhouses. So in the last episode, we did a Disney draft, but it was a little different because we decided to draft our own baseball teams using Disney characters under the umbrella, which was super fun. Again, that's one of the most fun ideas we've had. So thank you, Mel, for suggesting that. I'm looking forward to doing the next one. So I hope you all listening or watching enjoyed it, because I want to do it again. I want to build my team's rival team now. And this time I will use the Capital City goofball.
Okay.
No, I have an idea. So much to talk about this week.
Yeah.
This was definitely one of those weeks where there is an abundance of things to talk about. What we're gonna talk about, I don't know.
Some stuff.
We'll see where the conversations take us. We have a list of things to talk about, but we'll kind of see where everything goes. First thing, we were talking about this before we started recording, but we kind of decided to start recording, so I want to ask you, have you seen the TikTok videos? I guess they posted them on social media, but the campaign behind the Thunderbolts right now?
No.
Have you seen
I'm
it,
behind
Andrew?
on that.
Yeah, the name reveal and all this different stuff. Yes.
Yeah, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so there's apparently apparently I never been on live television before. And that's for a couple folk people. Apparently the Thunderbolts with the asterisks, everybody's like, yeah, the asterisks, it means this. They're telling us it means this and that and the other thing. Apparently that was just a placeholder to, I guess, not spoil the film. And if you haven't seen the film, I've not seen it, but I've seen all
I don't think we haven't.
Yeah, I haven't
None
seen
of us
it.
have.
But I've seen the advertising. So if you've not seen any of this advertising and you don't want to spoil the film, skip ahead like a minute. But basically, the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers. That is the new title. Their new title, the new Avengers.
Okay.
I don't know what that necessarily means for anything because I'm not comic literate. So Heyzen might be able to speak on to like what the new Avengers is, other than they are a new set of Avengers. And I'm assuming that is different from the Young Avengers, which they've also been supposedly building up. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
That.
So it's funny because I did not recognize them as the new Avengers. Like, there's been different Avengers teams, and they've had different names, and some of the members have jumped around and stuff like that. But the when I first saw the first advertisement that I saw, the first clip that caught my attention was Sebastian Stan walking down the street. He walks past a bus stop, right? And so he looks back and he sees the poster, and he's got a bag full of rolled up posters and stuff, and he goes and he clips it up, and then he unrolls it, and it's the same poster for the Thunderbolts, but as he unrolls it, at the bottom it says the new Avengers.
Oh, okay.
And so he just pastes it down, and then he walks away. And then from there, I saw the next one that I saw was one where they were all together, and who plays Yelena?
Florence
Pugh. Yeah, Florence
there you
Pugh.
go.
So they're all together, and they're in front of a poster, and Florence Pugh grabs the bottom corner, and she tears away where it says Thunderbolts, and it reveals the new Avengers.
Okay.
The full logo. And at first, I didn't know and again, I haven't seen the film, so I want to clarify. I don't know what happens at the end. I've been doing my best to stay away from it because I'm really trying to figure out when I can go watch this. Like, I want to watch it soon because so much is spoiling now. And I thought it was just the characters talking about how they were being considered as the new Avengers by the public watching the film, because a lot of people are saying that they're getting the same vibe as like early Avengers, Age of Ultron, or like even the first Avengers movie, that they're getting that like that just it just feels like it's all in sync. It doesn't feel like this like cash grab or anything. It really feels like a really good film. People are loving it. They're loving the plot. They're loving the characters. And I thought it was just because they were trying to market themselves as like the new Avengers.
I see.
But again, this is hard for me to say because I'm trying to stay away from the spoilers, but from what I'm capturing, I think they actually are called the New Avengers in the film, and I think the actual film name is The New Avengers.
Let's see.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't... Okay, so none of us have seen it. I don't want to say it's spoiled. I want to now say and put into a perspective that we're going to see how it happens. So eventually we'll get to see this film, but
yeah, and that's fine, but because like the new Avengers, I'm trying to remember who was a part of it, but like if we go back to like in 616, the New Avengers are like Daredevil and Ben Grimm and I almost cursed right now. I got myself.
It's okay.
Just as it was gonna come out of my mouth.
Chimichanga.
I want to say Wolverine's a part of it or something. I don't remember. But like the New Avengers are none of these characters, and so even in the title, like you always see the asterisk, right? So I don't know if it's like they're dubbed the New Avengers kind of as a joke, and they're like, yeah, we're not heroes, but like we're the New Avengers because we're all that you got, you know. So I guess I'll report back, or one of you will report back, depending on who sees it first. Yeah,
right.
But that's kind of where we are. I like the marketing campaign. If it is just a marketing campaign, either way, I think it's super fun, and it kind of makes me happy to hear that so many people are saying those things about the film.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of Marvel stuff that hasn't, you know, it's been good, but it hasn't been like, oh my God, like, you know.
I checked online, and none of the official sources have changed the name to New Avengers. It's still Thunderbolts asterisk. But I think that's the film is still called Thunderbolts, but then it's kind of like, but they're really the New Avengers, if you know what I'm talking about. You know, that kind of thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. You know, somebody had a good idea. I also saw down in your guys' neck of the woods there was a very interesting marketing thing going on where there was a big billboard, and it had the Thunderbolts, and then the big billboard then had the thing that said New Avengers over where the Thunderbolts were, like a rip. And then over top of that was Stitch bursting out of the Thunderbolts poster.
What?
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find it.
That is like poster over poster over poster.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's so meta, dude. Okay, let me see.
Here, let's see.
This was a billboard?
Just look up Stitch Thunderbolt poster. It's like on the side of a building. The first thing came up, it was like a Reddit post.
I see one that looks like the Thunderbolts, but it's the Wheaties box.
Yeah, but do you then see the Stitch?
Oh,
bird?
I see. Oh, this is so cool. All right, let me share this.
Yes, please.
So if you are watching this, you'll get an opportunity to also see this. This is so cool.
Wow.
This is super meta. This is the Wheaties box.
Yeah, it's you can see in there that it's the Wheaties box, and then you can see behind Stitch's ear that's where it's part. And then Stitch is now ripping through the entire poster, and it's just a big picture of Stitch. There's no advertising other than just a big Stitch.
Oh my goodness. So they really, this is so somebody posted this as this is a really pixelated version. They're saying this is the story of a billboard in 4 acts. Because it's the Wheaties box that says Thunderbolts.
Right.
And then they rip a portion of it and it says New. Then there's one where it's ripped across and it says New Avengers.
Okay.
And it's the Wheaties box. Then there's the one that's the Wheaties box where it's torn with Stitch piercing through.
Right.
And then there's a 4th one where he just obliterates the background. It just says Lilo and Stitch is like, "Wah!"
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's funny. Yeah, it's somebody was having a great time with this billboard on this building.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Tell you what.
100%.
And I do kind of like that the Stitch marketing, they just like, remember when we did Lilo and Stitch last time, and we just did this thing where Stitch is just like being a menace everywhere? Let's just do that again. And they did.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you the image. It's a little pixelated because it was really small. It was a thumbnail, but I'm going to share it anyway. Check this out. So here's the multiple, and it's actually more than this one because it actually started with the full Thunderbolts Wheaties box at first. So that was the original one, and then from there it went to this one that showed like a portion of it being torn.
New. Yep.
And then it went to the full tear, and then Stitch bursting through the whole thing.
And then the full Lilo and Stitch.
And then the full Lilo and Stitch one, yeah.
Interesting.
Man, I dig this. That is super fun. I haven't seen a good advertising campaign like that by Disney in a while.
It's apparently on Sunset Boulevard is where that is located.
Oh, that's a little ways from.
Well, it's closer to you than it is to me.
That's true.
That's true.
That's very true.
90 boo boo. I don't know.
There's another set of billboards that have Sebastian Stan, and it says, "This is a thunderbolt." And then there's a yellow strip, and it says, "This is a lightning bolt." And there's like a lightning bolt next to it. Then Yelena's next, and it says, "This is a thunderbolt." And then next one is, "This is a bolt," and it's like a bolt with like a nut next to it. And then it's got Red Guardian, and the next one it's like, "This is a thunderbolt." This, I'm telling you, man, this is such a great campaign.
They've definitely stepped up some of their marketing from the past.
Yeah.
If you remember the days of them just giving up on whole movies. What shall I say?
Shall we go back to John Carter and then
that's
go
exactly
from there,
what I was thinking of, John Carter. John Carter's the one. That's the one that they kind of really pooped the bed on for that.
Yeah. Well, that, and then so many of the Disney
Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland, I felt so bad for.
They started giving some marketing, and they're like, they did the cool, what was the thing called, the whatever, it's just the little scavenger hunt thing where you get the package and whatever.
The Plus Ultra. It was the Plus Ultra thing.
No, that's
and
the Michelob beer.
No, Plus Ultra. Plus Ultra was the whole scavenger hunt thing, and it was actually created by this guy named Nicky T, I believe, on Instagram. I can get into a whole story about it, which
Sure.
maybe I'll save for a future episode. But that Plus Ultra thing was so cool, man. I
Right.
loved like finding all the little clues and scanning things, and then like finding all the little video clips and the audio messages and all the graphics and how it all tied in. And it was so good, man.
Nice.
You know, when that film was released, I had designed a shirt. Let me see if I can quickly find it. It was actually I think we used it on a title card for an episode at one point. But
Oh, okay.
I had created. Do I have it here? Oh, maybe I don't. If I can find it after or while I'm editing, I'll like throw it up on the screen here.
Okay.
But it
Okay.
was. Cool.
Cool.
I replicated.
Or it's not there. I don't know.
It's like, oh, right. It was the way that they did Tomorrowland with like the sun coming up from behind it and stuff. I replicated the logo, but it said Podketeers,
Oh,
and I
Ooh.
wanted to make
Nice.
T-shirts with the same logo style. Man, now it's gonna drive me crazy. I
You'll
don't know
find
where
it
it is.
eventually.
Eventually, I'm gonna spend the next hour and a half, and at the end, I'm gonna be like, nope,
Just kidding.
because I would never do that,
Nope, that doesn't sound like you at all.
right?
Nope.
You know, I was thinking I wanted to put some of these up to a vote because I had started so many designs.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I was like so gung ho about making all sorts of designs to put up on the site, and some of them I really like. Some of them are still up there. Like I remember when I replicated the Lucasfilm logo. Like
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite designs that we've put together. But yeah, there's a lot of these that I want to finish, but I feel like I want to put them up to a vote because obviously I'm not going to finish all of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like if somebody's like, oh yeah, that would be a cool design, like maybe do that one. Maybe that would be the next one.
Right.
I want to also do like some that are limited edition, like where if we create a design that people vote for, and then we do pre-orders, and then we only print those. Like they won't be available for sale on the
Yeah.
gear section. Like it'll just be whoever got it at that time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think it's kind of fun to have something that's unique that isn't readily available. You know?
Definitely. Yep. That's
Yeah.
a limited run. It's people do it all the time.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. How did we get here? What were we talking about?
Logos and marketing and blah 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 blah.
Thunderbolts.
Yes,
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
Stitch.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping I get to see the film soon. Yeah, so that's where we are. Lilo and Stitch. You brought up something interesting about Lilo and Stitch, Mel.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
And let's
I saw it.
remember minivan.
Oh yeah. No. Of course. I know the audience.
That's a miniature van.
A
Miniature van, yeah.
Yes.
So I saw a thread, or I'm sure it was an Instagram post that I saw on Threads, and it was the first look of Jumba and Pleakley, and I'm like, okay, cool. First look, you get excited over it, and then
Sure.
you're looking at everything, and if you love details like I do, I love details. So when you look at stuff and you're like, record scratch, and you're like, wait, how come Jumba doesn't look like that? Like Jumba doesn't look like he does in the animated film.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot unsee what I've seen, and I'm not alone. So let's just put it right there, out there. I'm not alone because I'm pretty sure many others have seen this. But once you see it, you're like, animators, all right, you went this direction.
They sure did.
You went in this direction, but you couldn't give Pleakley just a wacky, fun type of dressing just for a small little thing. Okay, cool, Disney, yeah. So on Jumbo's face, particularly his nose. I'm trying really hard right now. If you can see the video.
I know.
His face looks like he has a body part that's not his nose, and it I don't know why it looks so adultish.
Oh, and adultish it looks.
Adultish is the only way I could describe it, because I don't want to describe it any further, because it's going to be pretty bad.
That is the nicest way you can put it.
Yeah. So, adults, if you guys are watching, look and tell me what you see. Tell me in the comments. There you go. Tell me in the comments. But be clean, please. Please, because we're trying, like, I don't want to say the word, but if you want to agree that you see what I see, then cool. Let me know if you agree. If you don't, that's okay too. I wish I didn't agree with myself too. Yeah.
I mean, that was.
You
Well
saw me
done.
putting my hands. I'm like breathing,
Well,
trying to figure out how to
I
say
could tell
this.
you were struggling with this one.
Because in text it was different.
Well, I mean, in text, you know. Yeah, this the visual of Jumba after that, it's really hard to miss. And the thing is that, you know, you kind of alluded to it. There was this really big hubbub about, you know, the dress. You know, like, oh, how can he be in a dress? And like, I mean, one, they're aliens. Right?
Correct.
Like, they wouldn't know any better if they were in a dress or whatever. It would just be kind of comedic, because to them, that's what normal was, coming from another planet, right? And so, like, seeing them trying to pretend that they're, like, so proper in a dress and a hat or whatever, like, I think would have been super funny. I think it would have been a great scene. And to get to a point where something like that was removed and then replaced, I guess. It's interesting, to say the least.
Disney likes to pick their own battles. They chose this one. Why? I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
talk
know.
about picking their own battles. When we get to our talk later, there's just to, you know, tease it. There was a new park announcement, and as Mel would say, we got thoughts.
Yep.
So,
You know, yeah, we do have thoughts on that. And I'll give you my thoughts on this whole Lilo and Stitch thing. One, I just want to wait until I see the film to see what actually happens, because we are definitely basing all of this on like 35 seconds of video of the whole film right now.
right.
But also, the director came out, and it was a very short video. He says, I tried, and they show a video of Pleakley in a dress. And, you know, I can empathize with this guy if this is actually the truth of he tried and it didn't work out. Because, I mean, you just talked about, Heyzen, you're trying to do the fun thing at the end of the episode. And then, you didn't like it didn't work out, and you scrapped it. And then you try it again, and it didn't work out, and you scrap it. And it's like, sometimes, especially, I think, in this medium of this, like, super realistic CGI, that stuff ends up looking weird. And, I mean, Jumba and Pleakley are already nightmare fuel to begin with. Pleakley scares me so much. I also think the other reason... So in the thing we didn't say that instead of putting them in just like clothes and like disguises a mustache and sunglasses and a dress and everything, they just turn into people.
Yeah.
And that also is probably a convention of, it's expensive to animate these freaking crazy looking things. So why don't we just have, they're aliens, let's just make them turn into people, and then we don't have to animate them for half the movie because it's cheaper. Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing, they keep doing this with every one of their movies. They make it on as cheap as possible.
Yep.
And, you know, even if there's a director that says, I want to do it or whatever, and he says, well, the company then says, well, we have X amount of dollars to spend on CGI, so you got to figure out where you want to use it. You know, it also seems like a lot of the plot is different of the film that people haven't even talked about, like how Bubbles is like Bubbles versus like are combined with Captain Gantu. Like it's like Gantu doesn't even seem to be it. I mean, from the marketing of the film, Gantu's not in it at all. Like
Boo.
We've not seen it whatsoever. So he seems to be hunting for Stitch. Bubbles does. And that's kind of what Gantu was. And Bubbles was just kind of more concerned about being for most of the movie, just being like a wellness officer or whatever.
Yeah, well, that was the best part.
Right. Cobra Bubbles.
Right.
So it does seem like they're doing a lot with this movie, not even just the stuff that is fun and silly, but the whole like convention of some of the plot points of the film. So that's also like just omitting a whole character. And that's probably, again, because it's cheaper to just have a human guy search for Stitch as opposed to a big shark man or whatever he is like in the animated thing. So that's my opinion. Like, I would love for Pleakley to just be around in a dress and Jumbo to have like a fake mustache and sunglasses and stuff. Like I love silly nonsense, but I can understand if it is true in fact that they had tried and it just didn't work out because it was scary or ugly or whatever.
So I have a question then.
Uh-huh.
Why? I mean, I don't expect anyone to have the answer. I don't.
Okay, I'll have one
but
anyway.
I'm just gonna say it out loud. It makes kind of no sense to keep going with these live action films if they can't get the film and the essence of it. Like, it's just like, wait a minute, you're giving us excuses, but you want to make this film happen.
Right.
And the company is marketing it so much that it's like, come on. I don't know. To me, I'm like, put
wrong
the money
answers
for marketing
only,
into
Andrew.
the film. That's it. I
Well,
don't know.
my-
But wrong answers only.
Wrong answers only. Okay. The reason they're doing it is because they're smarter than they were back then, and they know what's right now. And they know kids these days will really like, more adult drama and stuff than having a bunch of cartoon nonsense.
Okay, my turn.
Okay.
This is the best they could get out of their new AI. Oh, wait, that wasn't. Damn it. Sorry. I'll try again later.
I think the answer, Melissa, is we all agree with you. Like, why do they keep? We've talked about it in the past. Like, why do they keep making these? And I've mentioned it before. It's like, I think it's to keep the names of the films in front of new children, and instead of like re-releasing the films, and their thinking is kids now don't want to see 2D animation. Kids want to see live action, blah 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 blah, whatever.
Bluey doesn't agree with that.
But here's
That's
the
what
thing.
I'm saying.
I agree too. Like, kids like the stuff that they're given, like from a young age. You just have to give it to them. So to say that kids don't like 2D animation, but you can see that that's where everything is going, is this realistic, like photoreal stuff or like super CGI. But then you see stuff like Into the Spider-Verse, which does a very like cool thing with animation. And then people eat it up. So I think that they're all old over there, and they don't. And, I have this problem with other things I work with. It's just like the people in charge are old and they don't understand the youth. And they just try to pretend to know what the youths want. And this is what they think they want: nightmare fuel aliens and no silly
Too many
nonsense.
details.
Right.
They want Poochie. Hey, kids, yo.
Nobody wanted a Mufasa movie, but they made it. And it
One person did because they greenlit it.
Jon Favreau did.
Yeah. Well,
nobody asked for this.
And it's this really weird trend because I feel like that's kind of the theme of this episode, right? Because we're going to be talking about the new park in a bit, which kind of circles into this whole conversation. And it even circles back to when we were talking about, like, Tomorrowland, for instance, where they want to keep these properties top of mind for people. And they want to have them, like, on the tip of their tongue so they could talk about it. And then they come up with something, like, I think Tomorrowland was a good movie. I know some people, like, crap all over it, but they crap all over it because they were expecting something like Tomorrowland has no story. That's the thing. Like, they used the name Tomorrowland to visualize this whole new concept, and I think they did a good job with it. So for it to be the namesake, I get it. Last minute they were kind of like, oh well, maybe not, and I think that's why it failed in marketing, right? But then this one, they're like over marketing it, you know, like Lilo and Stitch. Like, we're seeing the billboards everywhere. We're seeing, like, one of the most creative billboards I've seen is the one where it looks like Stitch like chomped the billboard in half, and he's just kind of like sitting there with a big grin on his face. I'm telling you, they're doing such a good job with this one. And at first I thought that part of the reason they didn't do it, which might be the case, I don't know, is because, you know, they were trying to be a little more conservative with not showing Pleakley in the dress because people were going to, like, talk smack about it or whatever. But it's, again, I go back to, you know, these are aliens that don't know any better. And it was this comedic portion of the film because that's what was normal to them. That's what they found. That's what they thought all Earth people dressed like, right? So, like, that blending in, or them trying to blend in, turning into this, like, holographic version of a person to actually blend in a way, to me, isn't as much about what you said, Andrew. I don't know. I hope I don't sound bad saying this, but it almost makes me feel like they think people are too stupid to understand the undertone of what that joke was supposed to be. Yeah. They're putting it right in front of them, saying, like, hey, this is the joke, kids, because we know you're not going to get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, if anything, too, they could have had the human that Pleakley turns into. Why couldn't it have been a disheveled lady? Like, just give the essence or something, you know? Right. It's just there is no, it's boring. Yeah, exactly. It is, and there's no saying what. I guess I'm gonna get into this. In the universe, there Say is it like no Mufasa now. Say it like Mufasa. In the universe. Do it again. In the universe. We do not know if there are just only singularly binary genders, because they're aliens. We don't know. There are things on this planet that are all of them are a single gender and all this stuff, and could be whatever. Like, there's so much. I think a lot of it has to do with the climate we're in politically currently in the United States. And it freaking sucks. And they're trying to dance around something that's a non-issue. Yeah. They see it as possibly being something that they would get called out for. And because things are kind of, how shall I say, volatile right now, they don't want any kind of, they're worried about any kind of pushback in any form. Can I make this any more vague? And are doing, I think,
stuff to the extreme to quote unquote be safe.
People pleasing.
Right. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I think that's just what they are doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's such a fine line to straddle between, because if you think back to when the announcement for Splash Mountain was made, when it was going to get converted into Tiana's Bayou Adventure,
Right.
people went nuts.
Yeah.
You know, like, Disney's this and Disney's that. Like, how dare they? I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry, but the attraction was problematic. It had racist undertones, and that's why it changed. Period. Right? And so there's these points in time where Disney makes decisions that I think really are beneficial to the overall crowds and the overall guests that attend the parks. But there's also these moments where they make decisions that are essentially just money grabs. And then there's others that kind of feel like a money grab, but super confusing, which is going to help us transition into our next topic shortly, because they do tread both extremes, you know, frequently. And whether they do it on purpose or whether they do it because they don't care, or whether I don't know, like, this one just feels like, I don't know. Maybe it was a budget thing, and it was just easier to, instead of like you said, Andrew. I am, for now, I am going to choose to believe that it got to a point where the director was told, "Listen, your movie's costing too much, and if we keep animating these aliens, we're just going to cut the film and it's not going to get released. So figure out how to solve this." And the solution was to do these holographic people.
Right.
And if that turns out to be the case, and, you know, if the film is good, even though the story is changed, then okay, you know, maybe it's just an adaptation.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't think it should be considered a live action version. It should be an adaptation of the story, you know, because those are two different things.
A new telling of the story.
Yeah, or a reimagining. And that's where I think Snow White fell into so many problems, that, like, the recent Snow White film, and, like, it was being called the live action Snow White, but with the changes in Snow's character and the lineage of all these princesses kind of gaining more power and being more confident and, you know, like, fending for themselves, not relying on the prince and stuff like that. It's not the live action version anymore. This is a reimagining of this tale, right? Which is totally fine. And I think that's where they lost people. And I fear that if this is too far from the actual Lilo and Stitch film, that it's going to fall into the same category, and people are going to see it the same and reject it.
And it's I understand what you're saying, and then I think they would think, well, then we can't call it the same name. And that's what the 90% of their stuff is the name. Or you say Lilo and Stitch, okay, got it. We can do Lilo and Stitch, got it. I understand. Snow White, got it. Blah blah blah. And then you do something like Maleficent, which is a completely reimagined, different storyline, tangent, Cruella, whatever. Like those are, I think, a little more well received, just in the space that they're telling a different story, like you're saying. They're pulling from IP and stories, you know, and doing something with it, as opposed to, like, I'm trying to tell the start of this story and the end of this story are the same, and most of the characters are the same, and then who knows what happens in the middle. And most of the stuff is the same in the middle. But then you get something like The Lion King, which is basically a shot-for-shot remake of The Lion King. It was just and that's one where you cannot call that a live-action film, because it wasn't.
It was animated.
It was 100% animated, just in a photorealistic way. That is still just, they just literally did The Lion King again, an animated film.
Yeah. The Lion King, the new Lion King felt more like a test to see exactly how photorealistic they could do. Like, how far has their technology come?
Yeah.
You know, but
they only did it like 2 years after they did The Jungle Book, which had all those animals in it already. And it was already Jon Favreau. Like, they already, like, did it all. Right?
Yeah.
Well, they was both the same guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like they must have like an Excel spreadsheet or something that is like, all right, here's our money and here's our investment into this. And if we invest in this let's say Lion King, we put, make this Lion King thing, then we can, even if it doesn't make a bunch of money, but it made over $1 billion. Then we can sell all the Lion King toys, and this is where we make our real money. That's the other like aspect of this, is selling all the merchandise. That's where they make the other half of their money, is the kids want the toys. And how do you bring the toys back? You can't just bring toys back for kids unless there's something that they can see.
Dude,
it's
I
all
just
toys.
thought of something.
What'd you think of?
I just thought of something that if this, I don't think they're actually doing this. I want to be clear. I don't think, but devil's advocate, right? If this would be so dastardly if they're purposely putting out these films. Seriously, like if Bob Iger had a mustache, like he'd be twirling it at this point. What if? Let's play Marvel's What If.
What?
I'm gonna be the watcher. Watch. Okay. What if Disney is purposely putting out these live action bad versions so that the parents are like, this was garbage, let me show you the original version, and they either
Disney
sign up for
Plus.
Disney Plus, or they buy a DVD, or they buy the VOD, and all of a sudden the numbers shoot up for the original versions and they make more money toys because all the parents were outraged and they were like, let me show you the real version of this one.
Right. I mean, it seems like a big investment to do that. But anything's possible. Exactly.
You say that,
I need to get a
it's
mustache
like,
to twirl, man.
my dragon never stood a chance. Never.
I mean, listen, I know it. Like I said, I know it's not happening. I'm not accusing the Disney company of doing it, but if that was the plan, that is dastardly.
Right.
I kind of like.
And
wow.
Muttley.
And Muttley.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we're gonna transition into our next topic shortly, but before we do that, I want to take a short pause here, take a moment to thank a very special group of listeners, our podcast Fairy Godparents, the FGP Squad, because it's their support via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. For more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad family, we invite you to go to podketeers.com/FGP. There you will find a list of some of our top contributors, a link to our Patreon, a little information about what the FGP Squad is all about. But in short, being a part of the FGP Squad family gets you some additional perks, like access to exclusive discount codes for Podketeers gear. It's like those t-shirts we were talking about earlier, and mugs and all sorts of stuff that we have in our gear section. You get access to a special section of Discord, access to our happy hour calls when we get a chance to do those, additional content that we upload to Patreon. Our thanks, obviously, random giveaways that I sometimes I'll just make stuff and randomly send it out to people in the FGP Squad, and more. So again, if you're interested in learning more about becoming a part of the FGP Squad family, we invite you to go to podketeers.com/FGP. And of course, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. Since we're talking about links, this is also a great time to remind you that podketeers.com/links is where you want to go and or bookmark if you want easy access to some of our most commonly asked for links, including our latest episode, the Quizneyland playlist, of course the FGP Squad, a link to our Discord so you can join our Discord community, any fundraisers that we're running with our official charity team, Teamboat Willie. You'll find our YouTube channel and our pal Larry's YouTube channel, Goofy Guys Adventures. If you like park streams, make sure that you sign up for Larry's channel. He tends to stream from the parks a couple times a week. You'll also find a list to our Armchair Imagineering playlist on that page as well. So, podketeers.com/links is where you want to go. Most announcements and everything will also end up there. I recently talked about one of our next fundraising endeavors. You'll find more information on that page as well, so more on that will be coming soon. And let's get back to the podcast.
Yay.
All right. Hey, by the way, a little while ago, I ended up finding that Tomorrowland image. You want to see it?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, audio version. You'll have to go to YouTube to where is this thing? Boom. Bam.
Nice.
That's cool. I don't even think I've seen this.
Yeah, this when back in the olden times when we were a lot more active on Facebook, this became our Facebook banner for like a month. So it wasn't active very long, and I remember taking it down because I wanted to make it into T-shirts. And then at the time, the technology for making T-shirts isn't what it is today, and so getting the gradient to look good, or to make the transition of the glow to look as good as it kind of does in the graphic was really difficult unless you did silk screening, and that was more expensive at the time. And so I think I'm at a point where if I wanted to do this one, we're in a better place, and I think I could potentially pull this off now.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I may give this a shot because I really like this design. I love Tomorrowland, and I love the logo. I love the film. I love the idea behind it. So I'm glad you brought it up because maybe I'll print this one next. Maybe I'll print like 2 or 3, and maybe this will be one of the random gifts I send out to the FGP Squad.
Who's the main person in Tomorrowland? It's George Clooney.
George Clooney.
And Hugh Laurie.
Yeah.
And some kid.
Yeah. It's like his daughter or something like that.
George Clooney's actual daughter, or
no, just his daughter on the
yeah, and also like Jules Verne.
I mean, listen, it was full of amazingness all around.
Remember when the Eiffel Tower was a rocket ship or whatever?
Yes,
that happened.
Yeah, that's because they had a secret meeting room and everything and stuff.
Secret.
All right, so we kind of talked about it a little bit throughout the episode, and it's funny that all of this kind of ties into this exact same talk, because
the talk is we're upset.
Yeah. So last week, Disney announced that they were they're planning to open their 7th park, and the announcement
location,
their 7th location, yeah. And the announcement was that it is going to be a park in Abu Dhabi.
That's where Garfield sends Nermal.
So, from a business standpoint, I don't even know where to start. There's so much to say about this.
It's money.
I mean,
there you go.
When you look at it from the company side of it, it's a very strategic location, obviously, because
of course,
Abu Dhabi is a hub for the world for many things, right? Like they're kind of like an overblown Vegas, right? They're like Vegas on steroids, basically. So there's a lot of pretty cool stuff in many cases when it comes to the location. The deal that they're striking is fairly similar to a deal that they did, I think, with Hong Kong.
It's basically the same thing for Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai. They're all basically the same.
Right. The company that's going to be building the resort.
Tokyo is the one that it's most similar to, where Tokyo put up all the money.
Right. That's what I was trying to figure out, if it was Hong Kong or Tokyo. But the reason this is a very, in a way, low risk move for Disney, because they don't have to put up any of the money.
Right.
But the
Yes,
deal
they're-
that they have in order to put this together is, like, the best way that I could describe it is like Disney's franchising their name out, basically.
Yeah. That's what it
You know,
feels
they're
But they've
leasing
already
it
done
out.
it.
And
But
but
they've
they do.
already done it.
True.
They're just gonna have less control over the actual operation of the park, kind of similar to what they're doing right now with like the Oriental Land Company. And
Yeah,
stuff like
I mean,
Yeah.
Tokyo is a hunt, as far as I can tell by the very minimal amount of information that we have on this, that the deal is it's basically the same as Tokyo. And Tokyo, I'm not trying to put this on the Abu Dhabi park, but Tokyo is probably and I've never been there, the best theme park resort in the world. Tokyo
Yeah.
Disney, Tokyo Disney
Oh,
Sea.
Tokyo Disney Sea, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
top for me right
so it can work well,
now. Yeah.
but we will get there.
Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure that this park is going to be built.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what
Oh,
I
really?
was gonna say. Yes, it was. I'm not
before the
confident that it's
episode-
gonna happen.
Yeah, so before the episode started, we were like kind of chatting about the things that we were going to talk about, and there's times that we kind of discuss the things that we're feeling, sometimes because, you know, we get a little heated and we want to like temper that back before we start recording.
Me
Mainly.
heated?
But
Passionate.
passionate. Yeah, we'll go with passionate. And this time when we were talking about this beforehand, we decided let's just kind of wait for the podcast.
I just said
and let's
I
just
have
kind of-
opinions.
Right, and I was like, so do I. But that's I'm glad we're kind of on the same wavelength on this one, because I really don't feel like this park is going to be made. There's a lot of reasons for that, but you know, to kind of tie it back to some of the stuff that we were just talking about a little bit ago, there's a lot of cultural restrictions, let's call them, in the
Sure.
UAE, right? And they're very, very conservative. And so, you know, when you think about some of the laws that Disney has stood up and fought for, like in Florida, for instance, there was all these. I'm not going to get into it because it's just going to turn into a
Know
whole
your
other
history,
conversation.
folks. You know what we're talking about when we
The point
talk
is that
about
there was going to be
Florida.
all these laws and stuff, you know, against the QIA community, and Disney stood up and fought for them. It was actually Bob Chapek that stood up to the state of Florida to fight for that, by the way.
Mr. Egghead
Yeah.
himself.
And when you think about some of the laws that are in place in the UAE, they don't believe in any of that. You know, they're very strict about it. You can't even say the words. There's when it comes to the actual building of the park and some of the other resorts like Ferrari World and all that other stuff, like
Warner
there
Brothers
are
World.
genuine concerns by like the human rights watch groups that, to put it bluntly, there's a lot of slave labor involved, right? And so the fact that this announcement was made, one, with such a vague like visual of what the park is potentially going to
The
look
most
like.
vague thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah.
The
Right.
the blurriest, most far away
Let me see if I
image.
can
It was
find
just hype, more hype,
It's
more
like
than anything.
it's just colors and shapes
Yeah.
and black and green and whatever. But then you see this concept art, and then they say it's going to be 100% indoors,
Yeah.
or like there may be some outdoor things for part of the part of the year that is not 120 whatever degrees.
Yes.
So
this
how
is
is
what we're
this?
looking at right
How
now.
is this indoors? Tell me where any
There's
of this
an
is
invisible
indoors.
Giant
wall.
dome.
Yeah,
Exactly.
We're just not seeing it.
Giant dome.
It's just like crystal castle thing, and then a bunch of other tall stuff. It's literally there's no identifiable.
I mean, if you look at it, I would argue that there's several things in here that they wanted to give you the idea of. Like,
I didn't really
over on the
inspect it
right,
too
you can
much.
kind of see like Big Thunder. Over in the
Or
back, you
is
can
that
kind
like
of
Elsa's
Space Mountain?
Is that like
it's
Elsa's mountain?
potentially Elsa's castle.
Like down here in the
there's
like left of the
potentially-
thing, there's like Skull Rock, maybe. Kind of
It kind of looks
something.
like Skull Rock. In the
But it's
back,
also
you
kind of
see
nothing.
like Space Mountain. In between the castle and what's potentially Big Thunder, you kind of see the Tron Light Cycle
Tron,
coaster. You know what I mean? So I think they took elements of existing parks to kind of begin to give people the visual of what this can potentially be. But there's a really big part. Like, they said that this deal was supposedly in the works since 2017.
Okay.
But it
Oh.
also feels like this came to fruition in this way and with this vague concept art because all they wanted to do was take attention away from Epic Universe. Like, it was kind of at the point where it's all like, oh yeah, well, guess what?
Well, and I mean, they also, not even just Epic Universe, but Universal Studios also announced a park in England.
Oh, in England.
And
Yeah.
then
That's
they have their
right.
Las Vegas park opening and their Texas park opening. They're all different. The London one is a big full tilt theme park. The other two are kind of different. The Vegas and the Texas thing are smaller things. But still, they are rapidly expanding. And Disney, I think, is having a hard time keeping up because of how they've mandated their like profit margin crap. Like, we have to make this much money on this thing, so we can't spend it on theme parks because this, instead of like trying to be the leader in theme parks and spending a bunch of money, they're like, okay, well, we can't spend this much money until we've made this much money, and and it's too strict. Where Comcast Universal is just saying, we're going to beat Disney, so let's throw all the money at it.
Well, the only reason they're playing catch up is because of Disney Plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we're really playing catch up because of Shanghai Disney. Thanks, Shanghai. Remember that? Remember Shanghai?
Yeah.
Well,
No,
I think
it's-
there's multiple things.
No,
but
it's-
I'm sorry,
it's-
Mel. Go ahead.
It's just oh no. I was just gonna say it's just a scramble. I mean I honestly feel like it's a scramble to just, like you said, try to play catch up and try to be like that number one theme park again. But yeah,
This is- It's hard, right? Because I think as Disney fans, anytime they would make an announcement that they were opening a new park, I remember thinking like, oh my God, that's going to be so great and this and this. And
Right.
this one almost immediately rubbed me, the wrong way because, we mentioned some of the challenges that they have in the UAE. And not too long ago, they added that inclusion key.
Sure,
As
yes.
part of the Disney company. And this almost feels like they're going directly against that because the mural group that's going to be essentially funding and building this park is
Right.
government funded.
Right.
So
They're like the Oriental Land Company. It's the same idea.
Right. And so I don't know, there's so much I think that I can say about it, but in short, it's hard to see Disney going through with this and then still saying, but we stand for all this as well.
Right.
Like, how they handle, I think if this does go through, if this resort is built, from what I've read so far, it looks like although the mural group is going to be fronting the money, the creative control is going to be primarily the Disney company. It is not going to be the mural group. They are going to do their best to keep it as Disney as possible,
Right.
while still changing like Ariel's costume or all the
Or they just
female
won't
costumes so
include
that they're more
those to-
modest,
Yeah.
to have them in the park and stuff. But if the practices that so many human rights groups have talked about continue with the building of this new resort, and you still run into all of the problems that are supposed to be front and center for the Disney company from an equitable standpoint. It's hard to support this park. You know what I'm saying? It's that's kind of where I am. I like if Disney takes more control over that and they stand up for the human rights part of it, and they say, well, you know, maybe we can make a deal where this and this, or can they kind of work at it? Like, listen, I think Abu Dhabi's like that whole area is. It's kind of like a new nation. It's a new, like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, so Abu Dhabi, like, I did like some listening to some stuff and like reading some stuff. So this is going to be built on a place called Yas Island, YAS Island, which is a completely man-made island. They have a bunch of these in Abu Dhabi and all through the Middle East where there's bodies of water where they've just dredged up sand from the bottom of the ocean and built islands. And so Yas Island is like, it's kind of like, I don't know how to equate it. But basically Yas Island's like vacation island, like fun time island. Like that's where the Ferrari world is. That's where Warner Brothers world is. That's where they have Sea World, and then they have another park there that's another like ocean themed water world. Maybe it's a water park, and then they have like rock climbing and all this other stuff on Yas Island. But then they have like other islands that are like they have like a tech island, and they have like these other islands that are kind of delineated for specific purposes. And if this Disney park is built, it will, probably be the least attended Disney park in the world. I don't know if you've ever looked up any of these videos of these other theme parks there, but every video, like I've looked up these Warner Brothers parks because there's some cool rides there. They're like the emptiest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. It's like there's like 10 people in there. You're just walking around. That's the one where it has like a weird Twilight ride. And they have, I think, a Scooby-Doo thing. I can't remember all of them. But how do I want to say this? Even if they're, the attendance could be related to all of the humanitarian atrocities that happen in the UAE. But it's also, I think it's just going to be a bad look. And also, I don't think this is, you said resort, but I don't know if this is actually going to be a resort. I think this is
just
you're on the block of theme parks. Like, go down the block and here's the building that's the Disney building, here's the building that's the Warner Brothers building, here's the building that's the Ferrari building or whatever. That it's really hard to tell. And Josh D'Amaro said something about technology, about outdoor air conditioning or some kind of weird something or another, and it's really confusing. And they did a big drone show, and there was like a big, I don't know, thing. But how do I want to put this? I'm trying to be like as even level-headed as I can be about
that.
This.
That was my problem. Exactly. Like
it's you know, they're one of these places that is still like a monarchy. The UAE, they're like run by a king and whatever, and the king is like royal family, sets the laws, and the laws are very strict. And that is like one of the reasons why there is so much money, because they have this like very top, you know, percentile of people that it's like there is some study out that like they have like their top 1,000 or whatever there's so many people that are rich. Like most of the world's millionaires and billionaires live in Abu Dhabi or live in the UAE. And that's not like because people wanted to move there. It's just kind of like how that economy is set up, where like 90% of the people have no money, and then there's 10% of the people that have all the money. Sounds familiar, right? Anyway, So they are trying to, from what I understand, they're trying to make, especially Abu Dhabi, a like hub of Western influence and whatever to get people to invest in the country as a whole. And so they're just throwing money at stuff. They're saying, bring all your Western, bring your Coca-Cola, bring your blue jeans, bring your apple pie. We're setting up Western Town over here, and we got a Disneyland, and we got an Apple Store, and we got a what, that all kind of stuff to try and make it comfortable for a Western eye to want to invest in the country as a whole and make that a travel destination. But because they are exclusionary of a large population of the world, it's not doing them any favors. You brought up the LGBTQ issues, but they also have it's even stricter than that with like women are second-class citizens.
Yep.
Relationships are either no relationship or married. There's no in between sort of thing. There's all these very strict. And if I'm wrong about this and somebody knows, I'm sure there's people smarter on this subject than me. Please let me know what I'm getting wrong, because I've only basing this on a couple of podcasts I listened to and some articles I read. But it's very strict, not just for what the issues that we would think it is, but it's more the majority of people. If you include everybody that is in the LGBTQ plus community and all women, that's a lot of people. Mm-hmm. That's most people. Mm-hmm. If you just include all women, that's most people. There are more women than men on the planet, from what I'm aware of. Last I checked, so if you're excluding most people, that's not doing you any favors.
Nope.
And I understand why Disney is doing this deal is because pay free money, and in the long run, if there is a silver lining of this, situation, it will at least foster and develop technologies that then can be implemented elsewhere. Right. But I would rather that not happen and this whole thing not happen at all. But if this does happen, then hey, maybe some cool rides come out of it. But I don't know. I think they've put enough theme parks on that continent. Maybe they could put one in Australia or somewhere in South America or something. I don't know. There's these full untapped markets that they're doing this whole close to, that Eurasian continent is where most of the Disney parks are, if you think about it.
Yeah.
You just if you count them. And so, maybe go somewhere else. I don't know. Find some other money somewhere. I'm sure it exists. People want Disneyland. It's not like people don't want Disneyland in Australia. I'm sure I see them all the time at Disneyland. They say, "Good day, mate. I'm here from Australia," and whatever. I was in line with a lady from Australia at Buzz Lightyear one time. They're there. They like it,
And I'm sure they would appreciate the not having to fly so many hours.
Right. That's Australia's far away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Authentically Australian, distinctly Disney.
Yeah, I think what you said is really the part that for me makes this stand out so much, right? That it's essentially free money for Disney, because the fact that they don't have to invest anything, that, I mean, they're going to obviously have to invest the time, and they're going to have to send a whole bunch of Imagineers, and
they're probably going to have to hire
bunch
people
of crew
to do because of their commitments already to the parks that they already have.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up.
Sorry.
No. I'm glad you brought it up. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're like really synced on this too, because they've already made a bunch of commitments to all these lands and stuff that they're going to be opening that they announced at D23, and there's not a lot of movement on all of that. So there's a part of me that wonders that if the money that they're going to funnel from there is the free money they're going to use to build all these additional lands, because they're still scrambling to figure out how to pay for some of these things.
Yeah, suppose Bob Iger was on something, and he said they're still committed to everything they announced. So,
and that's what makes me wonder if that's how they're going to finalize these projects. But I don't know. I understand what you're saying, and I'm, like you said, if there's that silver lining, is that there's going to be all this money for research and development for the Imagineers to potentially like bring some of that tech home and, you know, use it in other like locations and parks here and stuff like that. That's that can be a positive, but I'm with you that if they could get the money from somewhere else to do it, I would prefer that 100%. You know, it's hard. It's kind of hard to support this venture. It just because it has the Disney name on it. I don't say this very often, but just because it has the Disney name on it doesn't mean you have to support it.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
I know that's gonna piss a lot of people off, but
I've said it in the past, and I'll say it again. The biggest thing you do is vote with your dollars. Like, only support the things that you believe in. And if that's something that you don't believe in, don't spend the money on it. And that's the biggest message you can send in our capitalist hellscape, to be frank.
Oh, perfect. No, that's perfectly said.
And on that fun note.
And that's how we end the episode. Bye, everyone.
All right. We're just going to cut it off like the FGP one.
And bye. But hey, Disneyland's got new popcorn buckets.
Yeah, I mean, we'll wrap it up. We'll transition into that something a little more fun as a palate cleanser before we end the episode. But we would love to hear from all of you listening or watching, because this is, I feel like this is definitely one of the more controversial decisions that Disney has made in some time. You know, but you know, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Join us in the comment section. Join us over on Discord. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Are we overreacting? Are we off point here? Like, you know, it could be. Like, I've heard the argument from some people that, you know, they can change as a country. They can make changes to their laws. And
sure,
one of the arguments that was brought up to me with somebody that I was talking to this about was, you know, WWE. You know, I'm a wrestling fan. I watch a lot of wrestling stuff whole life, and one of the places that they've recently been going to is Saudi Arabia. They've been going to Riyadh for a couple of their PLEs, their paid live events, whatever they're called now. They're not pay-per-views anymore. They're PLEs now.
Sure. Whatever. Same thing.
And when they first started going to Riyadh, they didn't allow the women to wrestle. They didn't have them on the program. They, you know, they were an afterthought. And so the company has, like WWE, has worked with the government there to allow them to wrestle, and they've got more freedom, and, you know, they were able to dress slightly different and stuff like that. So there's been progress, you know, there has been progress in that front. And so, like, the optimist in me wants to feel that Disney can have that influence for this particular park, and that they can be the catalyst for change. But things like that don't change overnight, right? And so the most positive thing that we can hope for is that, like I said, Disney becomes the catalyst for change. But if it can't, maybe they back out. Maybe they, you know, like you said, build a park in Australia or something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. So
Shrimp on the Barbie. Park on the Barbie.
So with all of that, let's travel thousands and thousands of miles back to Anaheim, because a couple of really fun things were announced that were we saw videos of these on Instagram recently. One, the Mickey popcorn bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Which one was it? You, Mel, that shared the popcorn bucket?
No, I
Who
think it was
should- the
The
Andrew.
Mickey one, that was
Andrew?
me. I've
Yeah,
shared
okay.
1 bajillion links in the last, like,
I couldn't remember which one of you
It's
posted
okay.
in our chat, but is this the first time we've had not just a talking bucket, but one? Well, yeah, a talking bucket.
I think we've had, like, sounds in buckets,
Yeah.
but I think this
Like
is the
sound
first.
effects, right?
Well, it also moves. It, like, the head moves.
the
and
head
stuff.
turns, yeah.
Yeah,
Turns
it's like
to
a
your
animatronic
voice.
popcorn bucket.
This is a future of popcorn buckets, man.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, I have to share this. So I saw the picture, and there was a top comment that cracked me up, and it said, "Chucky did it first." That's why I keep laughing, because I'm like,
That's
yeah.
funny. That is funny. I'm now that's all I'm gonna think about. I want to get the popcorn bucket, and it's gonna be sitting here. I like to work in the dark,
Oh.
and so I can imagine him just standing around and be like, "Hiya, pal!" Like all of a
Yep.
sudden, just kind of like turn and look at me. What you doing? It's like, oh,
He just needs to
hey,
ask, "Do you want to play?"
Okay. You want to play, pal?
Hey, buddy! But I wish it was like the old Mickey Mouse voice. Remember, you watched the old
scratchy one?
cartoons where they like in the like 70s and 80s, like before like Wayne Allowayne took over, they just had whoever do the voice. She's like, "Hello, my name is Mickey Mouse, and I'm here to tell you about Mouser's eyes. Okay, here we go." And it's like bad. When I
the
do
one they
this,
should have
I'm
dubbed.
Mickey Mouse. They should have done. Yeah, Mickey Mouse has like a
That's the one
lisp.
that should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when they first released the concept art for this popcorn bucket, I actually really liked it because it had like a charm to it that I haven't seen the other Mickey buckets have. Like it was slightly off scale, like the head was just slightly bigger than normal, and now it makes sense because it's got like the animatronic motor and stuff like that in it.
Yeah.
But it had this like charm to it that I thought, oh, I want one of those. Like I would actually buy this popcorn bucket. And now I want the Mickey Chucky popcorn bucket.
Right?
Now I really have to have one.
Come play with me, Heyzen.
If you could, like, give it some fiber optic eyes so it just glows
They
red in
glow
the dark.
red. And this is how those Steamboat Willie horror movies are made, folks.
Yep.
They come from popcorn bucket ideas. The other thing that you posted in the chat that I thought was just so cool is that they're doing the Magic Band Plus thing where in 7 different lands they're going to have like a 70th anniversary, like it looks like a token, but basically it's a scanner,
Touch
like an
point.
NFC scan. And then you go scan your Magic Band and it's either going to give you a ticket, kind of like a collectible card, which we saw the ones that you can get from Tilly. There was one in New Orleans Square.
there's
There was
3
one
in
in
Frontierland.
Frontierland.
3.
There's 3.
There's
They're
3?
all next to each other.
Oh.
Oh,
They've
that's
they've
horrible.
built this little like ticket booth. And one gives you a Disneyland Railroad, one gives you a Mark Twain, and one gives you a Golden Horseshoe.
Oh,
ticket.
okay.
Okay.
I
they're
saw
all
the Mark
next to
Twain
each
and the
other.
Golden Horseshoe one. I didn't know they were next to each other though.
Yeah.
That's cool. And not cool that they're together, but I like what they're doing. And then in Fantasyland, they did something very similar as to what they did for the last anniversary, because during the 60s they had the animated windows on Main Street, which I just thought were super cute, man. They had such charm to them. This is kind of the upgraded version of that because you scan your magic band and stuff starts to happen. Like the windows were just on a loop. They were like every 5 minutes.
I mean,
they
they're
would
still
do
there.
their
They
thing.
still happen.
Oh, right. But it wasn't like there was no interaction to it.
Right,
They
were on a loop.
happened on a loop. This is closer to some of the stuff that you have been seeing at Universal, where like with your Harry Potter wand, you can make things happen in the windows, or you can make certain, parts of the attraction do certain things. The Magic Band allows animations in Fantasyland. I like the concept of the collectible cards because I am a sucker for anniversary collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
That is like take my money territory, sadly. Said, oh, by the way, look, where are they? Remember these?
Yes.
Remember when I went through the trouble of also when the Disney 100 coins came out, no joke, I went through the trouble of also getting these little cases for them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that I would protect all of the Disney 100 coins. I'm telling you, I kind of hate myself for it because I'm such a sucker for anniversary collectibles, and those little cards like fall right into that
cute.
category for me. I'm all about it. Andrew, are you going to Disneyland for your birthday?
I wish I was. I don't think
Aw.
I'm gonna make it to my birthday. Nobody messaged me about getting me any Club 33
Oh man.
stuff. So I mean, I still got a little over a week till my birthday. About a week when this comes
You celebrate
out.
your birthday the whole year.
Yeah, the whole. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, it's my 33rd year on this planet. I got a year to get to Club 33.
Yep.
No,
If,
you get there whenever,
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yes.
as many times as possible.
but at least it'd be nice to go this year. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not gonna perish. But it would be fun.
All right. Well, hopefully
but I will be
somebody hears
hopefully
the
going.
cry.
I hopefully will be going sometime this summer.
All right. Well, I hope that all of these are still available. My biggest question when I first saw this was, is it limited to one per visit, one per magic band, one like it? Can you get it like a second time if you go back like a week later? Like, what is how often can you get it?
I think
Because I
based
would
on-
like to get a couple sets.
based on what I'm seeing, I think it is one per location per day.
Okay.
So there's, you can get each of the tap points once a day, based on what I've seen.
Okay. So that's good. So theoretically, we could get several sets, not
Yeah,
only
you
to
would-
collect, but also to potentially give away or auction off
Yeah.
later
Right.
as potential auction pieces. So, all right, good to know. Good to know. Was there any other cool things, or was that just
What else they got going over there? I mean, there's some cool merchandise. They're coming out with a Herald Sipper from the Matterhorn.
Oh yeah.
That looks kind of cool. Let's see what else I have in this. There's they started doing the new World of Color.
I saw a
started
small
already?
snippet of it.
And it starts with a safety message from the Muppets. Let's see, and it's pretty funny.
the last time I remember watching World of Color? Neil Patrick Harris was a part of it.
Right. Let's see.
That just tells you how long it's been since I've watched World of Color.
HBO.
And we thought that show should have been at Disneyland.
projection
Uh-huh.
show on Carthay Circle.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, I forgot about that.
That can we listen? Hold on, I need to bring up that video because that looks so good. That Carly posted that, right?
A couple people did. I think the one I shared was probably. Let's see. Yeah, Carly Wiesel is the one that posted the one I sent.
Ah, yes, here it is. Hold on a second. Oh boy, this was good. Let me share I like. Come on, man. Click share. There we go. Okay, let me play this. Hopefully we don't get a copyright strike for this. Yeah, we're gonna get copyright strike for that.
By the way,
sorry,
that was
YouTube. You're not gonna hear it. You're gonna see us bobbing our head to that one. But
bobbing my head to the loudest music that has ever played in my
I'm so
headphones.
sorry. That was my fault for raising the volume. But first of all, I'm gonna play this again because look
Turn the
how
volume down,
crispy
okay?
clean these projections look. Like when you
Yeah.
talk about the projections over at Galaxy's Edge. You were talking about the new projectors and the amount of projectors and stuff like that. This is one of the cleanest projections I've seen in the park, like, ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is super up close too. Like
Yeah.
like I don't know where this projection is coming from exactly, but
So
the
they're
fact
probably
that they took
coming from across the street.
right above the Starbucks or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure this is probably at least a dozen projectors.
Maybe. But it looks so good. The fact that they took elements of Sleeping Beauty's castle and they added it to the tower here, it just, oh man, this one's really well done. I really like what they've done with this one. I think there's, I don't know, the projection game has really gotten so good in the parks.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's really pretty.
It's,
No music,
You know what?
but-
As technology advances with, you know, so they're using like a lot of laser projectors now, which are brighter and crisper, and their focus is deeper. It just makes things a lot easier. But yeah, this is probably because Carthay is at an angle like this. I'm sure there's stuff coming from the fiddler fifer. I'm sure they might have mounted projectors on some of the poles like that have the speakers and stuff on them. The ones from the other side are probably coming from the little the building where like the wait times are, where the trolley stop used to be.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
probably projectors all over because that roundness of that front you know, it will affect that.
Yeah.
And then it's
So-
cool too in this video that I'm pointing at the screen like anybody can see it.
Okay.
Here and here, the banners that are hanging.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, they have embedded either lights or fiber optics in them that are also going with everything.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so here's what I really like about them is that when you look at all of this, so much of the actual design and like it, I know the banners are actual like banners, right? But the way that it's set up makes even the textures on the castle look 3D. Like there's depth to it because there's so much more contrast with these projectors that they're using that it really does help everything pop and it looks like it's actually a part of it.
Well, contrast and resolution. Like that's the other thing too.
And
just like
saturation because
yeah.
these there's
Let's say some
nothing
more. Let's say
washed
some
out
more
here.
words. How about
More buzzwords and the lumens
Yeah,
and
depth of field.
yeah, this is
CRI.
fantastic. All right. Anything else? I think it's about time we start
Yeah,
wrapping
I
up
think
this
we're
one.
getting a little loopy.
I think so
We are.
too. Yeah. I still have some Dreamlight Valley tests I have to do, so I'm hoping I can stay up long enough to get a few done. Some of them get me, man. The ones where they're like 20 times you have to give the villagers like their favorite things, but you can only do it like 3 a day.
Yeah.
Those are, they're so grindy.
They're
sometimes,
annoying.
But yeah. But I'm almost done. I have like 5 days left, I think, or 6 days or whatever to complete the star path. I'm almost done. I'm hoping I get a chance
Yay.
to finish it. So, yay!
Yay.
Alice is so fun, by the way,
She
as a character.
She
We were
is.
commenting on our group chat that I finally saw it. Like I didn't get a chance to comment, but Mel brought up that if you stare or you hang out with Alice long enough, if she smells a flower, she spins and gets really small, and then she's like tiny Alice. And then if you wait, like within about a minute, she'll sneeze, and then she like becomes like giant Alice, and she's like much taller than you are. And I remember the first time that it happened, I was hanging out with Alice because I was doing a quest that said like hang out with a villager. And anytime that comes up in a star path with new characters, I always hang out with the new ones because the mining, the digging, the farming, whatever counts towards leveling them up to level 10.
Yep.
And so I was hanging out with her, and like she was super big, and I remember screenshotting it and sending it in the group chat like, what the crap just happened? Like, why is this a bug? I thought it was like a bug in the game.
You thought, yeah.
And it just threw me for a loop. I was laughing so hard when I finally saw the animation where she like gets small, sneezes, gets large. And the Cheshire Cat, oh, I hate that little almost cursed again. I hate him so much, but I love him. Because he's just so snarky, and his little like riddles and the way he speaks to you, and he's just so full of snark. I love it. It's like, as much as I don't like Maui in the Valley, is how much like the opposite side of the spectrum is how much I love the Cheshire Cat in my valley. It's so good.
There's a line that he says that it cracks me up because I'm like, that's kind of morbid. But he says a line where it says, in the darkness you could see my smile, or something like that. And it's like, are you saying that being like in darkness you smile brightly? Like, I don't know if it was like figuratively or literally, but I was like, the way
all
that
of
he
the
says it though,
above.
yeah, it's like that's kind of deep.
I don't know about you, but it was lines like that that made me throw him in the Forgotten Lands. So you want to be in the dark, you could be in the dark.
Well, that's where I live, so.
Well, I'm a very basic vanilla person. I live right next to the castle and the plaza fountain, so but yeah, where Merlin used to be, because of the quest or the task to throw him up to the island where he's like, oh, I want to be by myself, can you put me up in the island? And so I took him up to the island, and that area was open, so I put Alice's house and the teacups next to it. And then I started decorating with the flowers and stuff around it. So that's where Alice lives now.
Nice.
But yeah, the Cheshire Cat, like, I figure that the Forgotten Lands is like a dark ride. So that's where he lives now.
Nice.
So. All right. That's it. That's going to wrap it up. Quiznyland was recently posted.
Yep, sure was.
So
Yay.
Go check that out. You want to give a quick teaser about what was in this episode?
Yeah, if you haven't listened already, we talked about a fun show at Epcot. There was Epcup. Yes, we talked about Epcot. I was just listening to you said Epcup so many times. It was very funny. There was a question about what was it? What was it, Heyzen? It was about, hold on, now I'm forgetting. It was about the Andrews sisters. You know, they heard of them. Binoculars.
Playhouse Disney.
And Playhouse
Nikon.
Disney.
Nikon binoculars.
Yeah, Nikon.
It's not Nikon. Nikon.
Yep, that's the one.
All right. When I first saw the image, by the way, the Epcup corner, I thought that was like Power Rangers because I saw it as like a tiny thumbnail at first.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, the Power Rangers were at Epcot? Like, what?
Well,
what
the
is
Power
this?
Rangers were at
Hollywood Studios,
Hollywood
right?
Studios,
Yeah. But that's what I thought it was for a moment, and then I saw the larger image. I was like, "That's not the Power Rangers."
It ain't.
Okay.
But yeah, you'll learn about that, and then you'll probably want to watch what I'm talking about in there. So you have a good fun time.
Ooh.
All right. Time to wrap it up. Time to get some rest. Maybe some Dreamlight Valley before I go to bed.
There you go.
All right. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.